Okay, I guess I need to stand there. You're right. Actually, I was suggested a topic and that off disappeared, but luckily I think both work. So let me tell you a bit of a story of Nethermind, because I think that many of you will maybe start as developers and then think about how to start a business, or start a business and then think how to become a developer. And much of it is in Nethermind story. And I started Nethermind 6 years ago, so I'll tell you a bit of a journey. And maybe I'll say that I'm breaking the rules here, because I was suggested to talk to you about this development story, and I'm breaking a lot of the rules of the culture at Nethermind. So I have to make those statements here before I start talking about everything else. So we keep saying stay humble. Everyone builds something. There is sometimes this assumption that building a big company or delivering some big projects is achievement, is success. But there are so many people that dedicate all their lives to one person, their family or child or someone important or some idea that is totally unrelated. And those are equally strong successes in life. And today I'll be talking like Nethermind is success. So remember, it's just one of the many paths. And not talking about the past, concentrating on the future. It's so easy to start telling the story of the company like this is some big achievement and then fail at the next corner. All the companies are a bit of a struggle with cash flows, with ideas, with failed directions. It's important to remember about it. So today I will talk like we have some past that says that we already achieved something, but no, there is so much to deliver. And to not give advice. I mean, I'm giving good kind of advice today by sharing this story. Once again, like everyone has so many different paths that listening to me is probably a bad idea, because it's all about my circumstances, my luck, my story, and the story of all the people that later joined. And I may think that I built Nethermind, while it might be that it's just totally someone else was building in, and I think that this is the culture, but actually culture is something different. I'm constantly blind. It really very often happens when the leaders write the books about the past and think that what led them somewhere, but actually everyone internally understands it was something different. So remember about it when I talk, but I have that story that I know, and it's hard to say something else. So this talk will be a bit about open source, because Nethermind was always open source as a client, and we've built a lot of projects that are open source. Very rarely we build closed source, sometimes we do. It's the story of Ethereum to some extent, because we started in 2017. Ethereum was probably 3 years old by that time, but now it's almost 10 years old, which means that much of the recent story is an overlap with what we've built. The founder's journey, because, well, I'm developer, but also founder of the company. So sometimes it will be a bit talking about coding, engineering, sometimes a bit about building the organization. And best dev practices, because much of that journey at the beginning was building a huge code base, probably a few 100,000 or maybe above 1 million lines of code nowadays at Nethermind client. So what we've achieved, nowadays Nethermind on the list of Ether nodes, and we know that it's very flawed and it may not represent properly the list of nodes, but we know that the trend is showing that we keep growing, and that we were somewhere at 1% maybe 2 years ago, and now we show as 40% of all the verifying clients on Ethereum to run Nethermind, but it's not the validating clients, so it's not the validators. Validators is probably around 10%, and block builders, we don't even know. And Nethermind as a company, not as a project. Nowadays, it's 200 people from around 50 countries, and with more than 10 million revenue annually. It was bootstrapped, but then received some external funding from angels during the very dark times. And both are important, maybe. So instead of learning about this at the end, you can think about, okay, so this is where we are now, and you can start building some connections and bridges between the journey, points, elements in history and this. The culture of Nethermind, so it was from the very beginning designed as a remote-only company. And I think that this remote-only is very important for Nethermind. It's not remote first. By remote-only, we introduce a lot of things that almost like force people to avoid meetings in person. Like many companies say we are remote, but we every like once a year, twice a year, or whenever we can, we meet together. We meet together only at the events. We take it as like unavoidable opportunity to meet, but we avoid the company gatherings. In a funny way, thinking about so many companies fail with the cultural misfits and misbehavior of people, so we can avoid many risks from the human-to-human interactions and force people to have human-to-human interactions actually with their friends and family and not just to make work their entire lives. We want to support better those people who actually want to focus on friends and family and would feel pressured into working with others from a place, flying somewhere or going to the office. Because I said like, oh, this will be 1 million lines of code maybe. What I name it? And I started thinking and I already felt like I was delayed in delivery. So I finally wrote, never mind, I'll think about it later. You don't see it probably, it's behind the sofa, but it doesn't matter really. So Nevermind came as it doesn't matter how you name it. If you build a good code, if you keep learning, if you keep pushing forward, whatever you name it, it will work. Like there are companies with such strange and stupid names. Well, Nevermind is probably one of those. Just keep building. This is business plan from 2017, and why do I mention it? It's important to know that I was not planning to build an open source project that will never finance itself. From the very beginning, the idea was this will be a company that will be large revenue stream working with big institutions delivering for hedge funds. The idea was, oh, this is blockchain. People will need it for financial operations. There will be DeFi. Everybody who is building on blockchain is kind of not taking that experience of working with large companies. I had it, so I thought this is my advantage. So I'm joining the community. I know nothing about the blockchain, but I have like 10, 15 years of experience of working with financial institutions. And at that time, there was not enough money on blockchain for the people with lots of experience to start. I was lucky enough that I got some early small investment in crypto that made me money enough for supporting myself for 2 years of journey. That's why I say, like, for many of you, that story might be so impossible. Like, that was incredible luck. The theory, and this is what I keep remembering from my university. The dean of my university kept saying this sentence, like, repeatedly: there is nothing so practical as good theory. And I loved it, and I keep thinking that this is so true, that every time you want to build something, well, again, not everyone, but when you want to build something and you think that it has to succeed long term, then sooner or later you have to understand it very, very well. Well, so why not start with it? Why not start with just understanding the theory perfectly and read everything that you can find on the topic until you're bored with it because you simply get it, you feel it. So I started with some of those, like the foundations of blockchains appear recently, and why I'm adding it here. So I read Mastering Bitcoin, I did the cryptography course and a few other things, and I kept reading. Before I started a company, every year I was spending probably 5 hours a day reading about blockchain. Many of you maybe are doing it. Foundations of blockchain appeared recently, and after 5 years of building blockchain and building core development clients, I started finally learning what BFT means and what consensus means. So I didn't follow entirely my advice, but I also followed the advice that keep learning later. If you didn't, theory will never fail you, I think. This is what I really started with. So I started with yellow paper and implementing the client from the yellow paper because I felt like, oh, this is exact representation. And when I wanted to build a client, I wanted to build a client to learn how Ethereum works, not to really, initially not exactly to deliver the client. I wanted to build more like trading tools. So yellow paper was telling exactly how Ethereum works in a mathematical way. If I looked at other code base, I would be influenced by the code base, by someone else's interpretation. So I decided to go with just the sheer theory and explanation, mathematical explanations. I could build a code base that would be different. A year later, I understood that it was extremely important for client diversity, because if you build 5 clients by looking at the code base and copying it and just rewriting it in different language, then you'll end up with the same constructs, same algorithms, same ideas. This allowed us at Nethermind to just force a bit of a culture of always building something first, the ideas, and then comparing them with others if we want to. Helps with diversity of approach and helps with a lot of performance breakthroughs in Ethereum. We did something so differently that they ended up sometimes being slower, but then you can replace it after learning how others did it. But sometimes we did it so much faster, so we allowed for innovation. Tests. I love tests. I love writing tests. I'm not sure, like many developers hate them. And I have lots of stories as a manager of engineers where I just ask for tests and people just ignore me. Over and over again, people just ignore me and not write tests, write the code, come back. And yeah, very often as a manager, actually, I'm very emotional. So then it makes me very, very angry. And write tests first. I write a lot of them. I write tests for every single thing, like meta tests of tests, integration tests, unit tests, fuzzy testing. And if you want to build a large application, successful application, is probably the only way, at least, yeah. Well, some people say not, but I love the tests. I just enjoy writing tests when I know that I can have everything perfected. Performance. Yeah, like whenever someone says to me like, oh, premature optimization is the root of all evil. Well, that was, people say that Donald Knuth wrote it. He was definitely not a midwit. So I think in the end, it's me who is midwit with this premature optimization. But I tell people, yeah, start optimizing at the beginning because performance is everything. Sometimes when I think why Twitter succeeded, I tell myself that this is because when you press the like button, it happens so fast. And maybe there were other social media when you press the like button, you waited 100 milliseconds. But on Twitter, it's like, I don't know, 5 milliseconds or something. Those things matter. So from the very beginning in Nethermind, I just spent months optimizing the code base before it even worked. And there was a time, I'll talk about it later, I don't know if you have that much time, that we just sped up the Ethereum syncing by 5 times because we're just so obsessed with performance of everything. And this is silly because we wrote it in .NET, like I only knew .NET, so probably we should have written it in C or Rust or something, but it is actually not that much slower. But yeah, performance matters. Compatibility. From the very beginning, I thought like, okay, I'm joining the race with Geth and Parity already there. I need to make sure that everything is compatible on JSON RPC. It's still not, but that gave us some kind of adoption. That Parity started disappearing later, and we had the Parity RPC, so people could switch to Nethermind without paying. That helped us to start, and it's really hard to start when you're starting from like 2 years behind. Dealing with rejection. This is a story I never mentioned officially before. I learned from it a lot. So I was building this client code base with my like early co-founder kind of joiner from the first year. And we built the first version I wanted to show to people as 0.9. I would prepare like this on Reddit. Like we say, is the version what it is? Someone asked like, oh, explain me what it is. And the person that I super respected came over and said like, oh, it's like you have no friends in Ethereum, but you want to play with people, so you just build this client. And I was at the time in the cinema at the date, and I was super excited. I was checking how people respond. I read this, and I think it was the cinema where I can like buy a pizza and champagne, a super cool place. I kind of wasn't happy. I was very sad. And then after the movie, I was like without emotions. I saw like, what should I respond to it? And I had all these emotions, like angry, like I don't like this guy anymore. And like, how, like, oh, this is so. And then I responded with this. I just realized that this is true. This is exactly what I was doing. And this is what we always do. We notice something that is super fun. People are playing with some cool toys. And from the time when we are 3 years old, the whole life is like this. We notice something that we're excited, we want to join some community and build together with others. And we have to somehow approach them, like, I don't know, build our own toys or just come over and start talking. I was not good at coming over to community and talking. I famously didn't know that there is notDEVCON channel for the first 1.5 years of building a client. I thought you have to be invited, but it's actually public and you can watch it. I didn't know it. The believers, so even as there are some rejection and people that maybe sometimes mock you or have bad day, there are also believers. So Antonio Sabato was massive help in London. He was building communities. If you find community builders, stick around. They will help you to not be shy and to be introduced. And he told me to start Twitter account. I didn't have Twitter account. This is the announcement of Nethermind client. I thought that I found a niche I'll build for enterprises. And I got the grant and I got presentation in a smaller room. And then on the same day, I realized that I never learned that Consensus was building enterprise-focused client as well. So they announced it on the very same day, and they had like, I don't know, 200 people listening. The next day I thought, okay, I have to find another niche. Social media. So I had a Twitter account, but was not using it, and then I wanted to build, and then one day, Vitalik yellowed $300,000 on the projects that were planning to build things. So I kind of realized that you probably need to use Twitter to be seen and be noticed and build and be part of the community. It feels like it's strictly financial. Yeah, it's easy to quantify. It was not about finance, it's just realization that, oh, people just connect there. How much time do I have actually? I have time, or is like I should finish?
No, that's
5 minutes more.
5 minutes, yeah.
I'll rush it. Building through the dark times. Yeah, there was a time in Ethereum when everyone was saying that execution clients will be decommissioned, and that there will be no execution clients anymore because we're moving to proof of stake, and there will be only consensus clients. This is the only thing I had after 3 years of building, so it kind of felt a bit sad. But I kind of also felt that it doesn't seem right, that it feels like execution clients will somehow matter. At that time, we had maybe like 5 or 6 people at notDEVCON channel, and Ethereum was saying that the state will die because it's too big, and this is exactly when we managed to get this like 5 times improvement from 20 hours to 4 hours of state sync, and kind of encourage GAF to do the same performance optimization. The GAF team spent the next year improving performance, so performance mattered because we introduced this idea of just performance has to be great. And yeah, people around were helping, and we went through that. So this perseverance of building for 2 years of the bear market, keep building the code base. It's risky. I say somewhere like that. It's risky with the perseverance because I think many of the founder stories where you suddenly succeed are that, oh, I was just about to die as a company and then I succeeded. The thing is this, when you're a founder, this dying is very long because you just like, have so much hope. You're like 3 years dying. So that's why so many stories are of the founders that were succeeding just about when they're about to go bust, because like this span is long. So it's hard for me to encourage anyone to go through this dying process because many companies really fail and it's really painful, and I actually usually tell people that I regret it. Actually, Christoph, who started like as an intern from Nethermind, he started company, now got this like massive funding from Andreessen Horowitz, so it seems already like a success. Obviously just started, so it's not. But he came to me and asked me like, okay, so as a solo founder, how it is? I said, don't do that. I regret. It's like unhealthy. It affects your friends and family. And at the end of this meeting, he said, amazing, amazing, I'm gonna build it. So that's why I happily tell you, I regret it. I wouldn't start this company once again. I would just continue as a corporate person. I would probably be healthier and happier. Maybe not sure nowadays, there's so many happy moments, but yeah, it was painful. You still probably will start companies somehow, so I know I can tell it. Luck, yeah, lots of luck and timing for me. So I invested in cryptocurrency without knowing much about it. It brought me a lot of money, $200,000. I still like half of it to fund myself. The other half went to zero. And during the bear market, I spent all of this that I got for myself. And then when the recovery happened, I had the knowledge and experience, and the company was there, and everyone wanted to build on blockchain. So suddenly we had a lot of money. It's like, because it was bear market, I could catch up. If I started a company during the bull market, everyone would just run away and would always try to catch up. This is impossible to catch up with like these large projects, well-funded projects. You can only build this and do that when nobody else believes in it anymore. So I'm not sure if it's some learning from it, but hidden things is like one thing about the culture, very important for us, I think. Every time your competitor or your partner says something stupid on a single day, or like they burst with emotions, or tell you something mean, like you think like this thing about toys. They may be going through something super heavy. They may be struggling themselves. They may be feeling attacked. So just understand that they're all with emotions, and the next day it might be important, always build with them, understand them. I said that. This is not important. Internship program, this is important. So we built a lot with the internship program. We had 350 people going through Nethermind, and we decided to design it to help the people succeed, to make sure that they can do whatever they want, that we didn't design it to hire people for Nethermind, but we designed it to simply listen and ask whoever comes to internship what they want to do, what they want to achieve, and try to help them to deliver that. We knew that some kind of a side effect of this will be that many of these people will bring us some value. They'll stay with us, and they'll connect us with the companies that they'll go to, or that they will just bring the ideas because they join and they come with all those fresh ideas. This is massive. So much of the culture at Nethermind is the internship program. And it's also important in the all-remote setup when you have just the separated channels, people don't see each other, they don't talk to each other, don't bump into each other with the coffee machine regularly. The interns are just like going from team to team to team and asking questions and saying, oh, like, why are you doing this way? That team is doing that so much better. So they're actually acting as this information carriers in the company that helps a lot, I think so. Or maybe I just think so. Okay. Thank you so much for listening and coming.